It is day 5, round 13, and oh my goodness, we're finally here. Now, this week actually went by super fast. It's been a very busy week. I hope you've had a good week. Happy Friday. It's my favorite day of the week. So, we've just wrapped up our group spring fast, our spring cleaning, and everyone had a really great time. I had a great group this week, and I mean, they're always great, but of course, they're brand new in my head. So it's just really, it's been lovely spending time with them. Okay, so today, how do I feel? On day 5 of your fast, you may not feel hungry at all. You know what? I'm kind of a slow learner, and my body, I think, is the same. It's kind of slow in learning because today I actually don't feel hungry, but every single fast that I've done, it has taken me a while to get there. So around 7 to 8, I finally was able to kind of like just live my life normally, even while I'm fasting. Normally to me means like I can just go about my day without being completely obsessed with thinking about food. I can cook for others without feeling just in like so much pain that they get to eat this delicious food and I can't. So around 7 and 8, that's how long it took me. It took my body that much practice in order to get to that place where I went from pretty much curling up into a little ball and just wanting to cry, frankly, on my first round, to being able to just cook up a storm and not have it affect me at all. I was also able to sit in food courts and just like stare at people like while I'm salivating, like watching them consume every single bite. But I was okay. I was okay to just sit there. It definitely helps to have something for yourself, like a cold water or a hot tea or something like that. Or like just bring your snacks with you. And that's what I do. That is like a must. Every time I have to go out to something during our DIY fasting mimicking diet, I'm almost always, I used to always pack something with me. So at least if I'm stuck in a situation where everybody's eating and I can't, I'm eating too. And I'm slowly ingesting those calories and really kind of paying attention to every single thing that's coming into my body and being very grateful for that nourishment. We also have to remember we got those reserves, right? We've got a lot of reserves stored in our bodies. So it's just very uncomfortable not eating because we're just not used to it. Fast forward, now I'm coming to the close of my round 13, which does still blow my mind, but I am feeling amazing. So I have never felt like this before. So now I am kind of like graduating up until this point of this kind of like fasting state where I can't believe I'm not hungry. So I still have my breakfast plate. I had the luxury of having my husband put together my breakfast plate this morning. Not as pretty as the way I do it, but all good. It felt very nice to have somebody prepare something for me. And it's now 11:05 local time, and I still haven't consumed my breakfast. Normally by, I would say, 7 or latest like 9:30, I've consumed this whole plate and I'm just like trying to hold off on my lunch. But yeah, 11:05, I've already gone to this event. I literally ran outside for a little bit. Not like to get exercise, but I was going to fetch something for somebody. But yeah, this is, I don't need to eat this. I'm going to eat this, but I'm going to just kind of portion it out throughout my morning. Okay, so in terms of dreams, I've been having a lot of dreams. I always have a lot of dreams during these fasts. And the reason why is because our neurology is just going haywire in a good way, I think. So I want to read you something during the fasting state. This is from Fasting and Eating for Health by Joel Fuhrman. Joel Fuhrman is, kind of one of the OG plant-based doctors of our generation. And he is almost former Olympian. He's a figure skater, but he went very, very high in his figure skating career, but then got injured, unfortunately. And so therefore he did not go on to the Olympics, but obviously crazy athlete. And because of his injury, he started to try to look into different things, and he just couldn't find anything that was working. Fast forward, he finds fasting, and he was amazed because once he fasted, he actually started to heal. So he got really into it. And I haven't made my way through this entire book yet, but there is a section here where he talks about autophagy. And I love it because he says, like in a fasting state, when no calories are consumed, he's an advocate for water only fasting, but we have to do it in, I would say a lot of us, most of us should be doing it under medical supervision. So many people just like disregard that and they just do it on their own. And sometimes they're fine. Maybe many times they're fine. What do I know? But I do know that, especially when it comes to Americans, and not just Americans, Australians, Europeans, Canadians, Asians, the French, the Danish. I'm starting to get emails from all over the world. They are suffering from a lot of different issues. We are on a lot of meds. I'm not on any meds, but most Americans by now, like I'm in my 40s, most people in their 40s are on like 3 or 4 meds. And they're, of course, told by their doctors, you got to stay on these for the rest of your life. No, thanks. So anyway, he's into water only fasting. And he says, when no calories are consumed, the body is living off of its nutritional stores, primarily its fat reserves. We know that visceral fat transfers into our liver. The liver pumps out ketone bodies. Ketone bodies flood our bloodstream, and that's what the body is using for energy, as opposed to glucose in the fasting state. He goes on to say, the innate wisdom of the body is such that while fasting, it will consume for its sustenance superfluous tissues. I have issues with that word. Carefully conserving vital tissues and organs. The body's wondrous ability to autolyze or self-digest and destroy needless tissue such as fat, tumors, blood vessel plaque, and other non-essential and diseased tissues while conserving essential tissues gives the fast the ability to restore physiological youth to the system. By removing or lessening the burden of diseased tissue, including the fatty tissue narrowing the blood vessels, fasting increases the blood flow and subsequently oxygenation and nutrient delivery to vital organs throughout the body. Of course, we know that oxygen and nutrients are transported throughout our entire bodies through our blood. So when the blood is sludging through our veins because we got so much plaque built up from very rich, heavy foods and or a bunch of random chemicals that are just setting our bodies off balance, we just don't feel good. That's what chest pain is, right? We've got like that atherosclerosis in the chest pain because like our body's working hard and the blood is not moving freely. And that hurts. I used to have that in my 20s. So conceptually, fasting provides a comparative rest for the digestive tract, while throughout the entire body, from the blood vessels and nerves, in the feet to the nauseous retained substances irritating the central nervous system, the body conducts an internal spring cleaning. Fasting enables the entire system to focus on the elimination of superfluous tissue and the retained waste that it was unable to break down and remove in the feeding state. So in the feeding state, he goes on and on about how much we are kind of hurting our bodies. And that's, I think, one of the most primary issues today and the challenges is we just overburden the body. Sometimes we're not eating the right thing. Sometimes we're just eating too much. And especially when we're eating too much of the wrong thing, what do we think is going to happen, right? The human body is absolutely amazing and it's so intelligent. And like he says, in the fasting state, it's just doing all of these amazing things and taking the damaged things, the damaged tissues, damaged cells, tumors, bad fats like visceral fat compared to subcutaneous fat. Visceral fat is a fat that surrounds our organs, largely around this midsection. And when we have too much of it accumulated, science tells us it leads to all kinds of chronic diseases. It increases our chances of it. So one of my goals is to lower my visceral fat. I have a home scale. I measure my visceral fat that way. And it is at a 4. So it hovers from, no, sorry, it's at a 5. So it hovers from 4, 5, or 6. So when I eat a bunch of rich foods, it will pop up to 6. It is hard to get that visceral fat number down. And I don't think that it's like perfectly accurate because it's a home scale, but I have done a DEXA scan, which is a very accurate absolute scan of your body, primarily for bone density, but also for fat accumulated all over the body. And, it pumps out all these things like you're pretty healthy and you're average and blah, 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 nothing to be concerned about. But it's not that it's great that I don't have anything to be concerned about. However, I want to continue to optimize my health. I want to refine all those good habits. And yeah, I just want to live very, very well. I enjoy it. It's fun. And it also feels really good. So today, talking about the neurons. So the dreams that I've been having, I always have something that comes through to me through my dreams. And not that I think it's like some sort of woo-woo magic that is like coming into my head. I really believe that we are just so intelligent. But so many times we're overburdened, right? We're overburdened by whatever it is we're eating, whatever it is we're consuming, even mentally, things we're reading, things we're watching. And I think that kind of stress or burden can just kind of like dampen our natural state. And this is my favorite part of being in a fasting state, is because we get closer to our natural state. What is that natural state? I can't really describe it except to say that it is very strong. It's extremely abundant. You can tap into your inner wisdom much, much clearer. When people say they have clarity, I think it's because they're getting closer to their natural state. And we have so many answers within us, but sometimes we just don't believe that we could have those answers that are accurate, that are going to lead us in the direction of our best self and our best life. I don't like saying that because it puts a lot of pressure on us. I just want to live a good life. But I think that my dreams are always kind of showing me my internal wisdom, whatever that is, depending on what I'm going through in this chapter of my life. So in my past fasts, holy moly, I have been able to like dig up just feelings that I have not felt in many years. Things I just thought I'm never going to resolve that ever in my life. And so I don't care. But I resolved it. And hard things that I know in my waking life that I should do, that I've just kind of put on the back burner because out of fear of too much disruption or hurting somebody, or the fear of like, maybe that's like the wrong choice. And like, what if I do make that choice and it was wrong? And then what? Turns out it was the right choice. It's always the right choice. And this week, my dreams have been largely kind of on the borderline nightmarish, which I don't really understand, but there's been a common through line in my dreams, and it's been all about actually our daughter. So we have a young daughter, and it's been about her. My husband has been in it. My husband is not oftentimes in my dreams, but he's always just like so happy in my dreams this week. And just, he is a happy guy, but just like so chill and very, very childlike, very playful. And that's who he is. And so maybe I needed a reminder that I shouldn't take things so seriously sometimes, and that he is this playful, happy-go-lucky free bird. He's a free bird. And that I think the lesson for me is maybe I need to spend more time and pay more attention to our daughter. That's been the nightmares. In my nightmares, I like forget about her. Yeah. And then it's like 10 o'clock at night and I haven't been home all night and all day. And I'm like, oh my gosh, she's home alone with our dog. Oh boy. But I think these truths come through. And for me, that's just been the most fascinating thing, apart from all the physiological changes. So physiologically, I'm down about 6 pounds. My visceral has not gone down, but it will continue to go down once I break my fast. I'll go into that a little bit more. My metabolic age, this is my favorite measurement, has gone down 2 years. So I love that. So metabolically, according to my home scale, which I know is not that accurate, but I am 3 years younger than my actual age, so that always feels nice. My body fat is at primo. Even though if you look at me, I mean, it depends on who you are. Some people are like, you look great. Some people will be like, you could use some help. But the important thing is I feel very good. I'm fitting into my jeans very, very nicely. So start of the week, I was too big for my jeans, the jeans that I'm wearing right now. And today I put them on and they're actually a little bit loose, which I don't love, but it's nice that they're kind of roomy, you know? And I know as I refeed, I'm going to gain my 2 pounds back of glycogen. So after we come out of the fasting state and we start burning glucose for energy again, as opposed to ketones, we do accumulate about 2 pounds of glucose, which once it's in the body, we call it glycogen. So we do accumulate that and it gets stored in our muscles and our liver. So even though on my Renfo scale, my muscle mass has gone down by about 1.5 pounds, that's going to come right back up once I start eating starch again. Yay! I can't wait. Oh my gosh. I mean, I can wait only because I'm not suffering right now, but every day this week I have been suffering, and it hasn't been as bad, of course, as earlier rounds, but it's amazing that the longer or the more often we do this, the easier it gets. It's like the same thing with anything in life. And so now I've advised our group that we have to refeed tomorrow. So here's a very typical thing. So people feel so good in the fasting state that they want to stay in the fasting state. I've already had 3 fasters just this round say, I'm going to extend my fast. And I say, no, no, you will not extend your fast. We had another faster that said, next fast, let's do 7 or 10 days, not 5. No, let's not do that. And this is a reason why. The reason why is because this is modeled after the fasting mimicking diet by Dr. Walter Longo. Some will say he is the leading longevity expert in the world today. He is a mad scientist and he is amazing. I mean, he's just done so much. So in this book, you could learn all about the longevity diet. You can learn all about the fasting mimicking diet. You can just go online and Google stuff without even buying the book. But what their over 30 years of research and over now $32 million of research shows is that on average, for the normal person, for the average person doing the FMD, the critical point is get out of your fast after 5 days. So it's 5 days because it takes about 2 days to get into the fasting state. We are burning off all of our glucose stores, and then we're going to start converting ketones for our energy. Once we're in a fasting state, all that research has shown that 3 days being in a fasting state is the ideal amount of time that you are self-cleaning, self-eating, autolyzing, or going through autophagy in the fasting state. So in that state, the body's looking for energy. It's clearing out the worst parts of ourselves, hopefully. And not that I can measure that, even though, man, wouldn't that be fun to do that? But the reason why I believe it is because I have reverence for nature. And I believe that the human body is just so smart because we don't have to tell ourselves like how to breathe or to continue breathing. We just automatically breathe, right? Like the body has its own intelligence that we have nothing to do with. It's done from our creator, right? Or however we're here. So I do believe that it is eating away at the most damaged parts. And now it's time to come out of our fast, or for me, tomorrow morning. So tomorrow morning, we start coming out of our fast in a slow and steady way. We're not going to feed the face and inhale food too fast, too quickly, but we're going to be very mindful of how we eat. Just mindful. I won't say like super slow eating, but just mindful eating. And we're going to eat a bunch of plants, but the key component is we must add more calories in because we no longer are going into a calorie deficit. Time to come back to normal life. And we're going to eat calories and especially eat starch. So this is a plate of my breakfast plate during the fast. I've got walnuts. not a starchy food, but a nut with tons of antioxidants, great for brain health, which is what we typically see. But these have antioxidants and phytonutrients and nutrients, good amount of fat, bit of protein, little tiny bit of carbs, good calories. It's got all those things, vitamins and minerals, but not a ton of calories and very low starch, but good fats. All food has all of those things. Carrots are technically a starchy food or a starchy vegetable, however, very low in calories, super, super low. So when we try to fill up on carrots, good luck. You're going to be eating so many carrots. So just don't even bother. I mean, eat them, but you know what I mean? It's not going to be like the meat of our meals. Cucumbers, also very non-starchy vegetable, very low in calories, super low in fat, super low in protein, and it's got some carbs. Avocado, high fat food, but again, although it's got more calories than the cucumber, it's not going to be as many calories to keep us full. So what do I need with my breakfast plate? I need bread, maybe a healthy bread. I could use a potato. I could use a side of oatmeal. Oatmeal is excellent starch. For me, typically on a normal day, if I have oatmeal, I need I'm talking 2 cups of dry oatmeal. And then whatever that makes cooked, I need at least that, plus all of this, plus water and coffee to be full for breakfast. So for people who don't typically eat a lot of plants and they eat normally, like meats, I would say that that's the biggest thing. When you kind of transition, you start eating more plants, you have to eat more food. You need more volume because plants are much more lower calorie dense than animals are. Animals have tons of calories. There's lots of fat. I was very surprised to learn about how much fat there is in animals. Big amounts of protein, sometimes a little too much for us, and little carbs, sometimes zero carbs. They have vitamins and minerals only because of the plants that they eat. Isn't that interesting? So if they didn't eat any plants, we would get protein and we would get fat and we would get calories. All good things, all very good things, but sometimes it's a little too much, right? So I love that Longo says that when we do refeed, if you ideally we're going to stick to whole plants. And now he's saying for up to 30 days. He used to say just at least for the first 24 hours, don't eat meat and don't consume dairy, especially dairy. But if you have to eat meat, choose seafood. I say just go optimal, just eat the plants. You've been doing it for a week anyway. And he will also say, continue that on for as long as possible. Continue the longevity diet. The longevity diet is basically a bunch of plants with olive oil, a little bit of fish here and there. The reason why he says that, though, one of the reasons why he says a little bit of fish here and there, he eats fish twice a week, is because he wants to make this kind of lifestyle approachable. Even though he calls it a diet, it's really the longevity lifestyle. And so if we're eating a bunch of plants, getting enough starch, he doesn't use the word starch a lot, but I just know from hearing from a lot of different people who are I try to go vegan or I try to go plant-based. No, it's starving. You were starving because you weren't getting enough calories. We need some starch, okay? So I had one faster and he kind of said that, he said that he could eat tons and tons of sweet potatoes, and saying that in a negative tone. I think he may have actually described it as his problem. And the thing with sweet potatoes, rice, and all the things that we hear about these food types with such negativity in the mainstream media. But in the reality is you punch it into Chronometer, and I want you to see the actual nutrients that come out. You're going to see very low fat. You are going to see low protein. But the question is, how much protein do you think you need, right? Many of us get too much protein. You're going to get sufficient calories. So if you're eating a bunch of plants, that's a really good thing because we need those calories, right? All right, what else is there? Yeah, those were my two main points for today. This is just to eat well and to refeed excellently and to do it for as long as possible. And now Longo is saying 30 days. 30 days. So we have one faster and she's going to go dry for 30 days, which I think is amazing. I have no intentions of going dry for the next 30 days. Oh, heck no. I'm having a drink tomorrow, but more so like tomorrow night. Actually, maybe not tomorrow, maybe Sunday. But when I have fasters ask me, like, is it okay if I have a little bit of, Pinot Noir tonight? I say yes. And I give the example that Longo gives. The Italians, they will start their fasting mimicking diet on a Sunday night so that they can break it on Friday night. So then tonight they all get together and they feast. Other fasters are like, we should have done that. That would have been fun. However, I don't like doing that because the way you are breaking your fast then is you're incorporating wine. It's dinner time. It's a Friday night. Are you kidding me? No, no. I like to break my fast on Saturday morning because it's a weekend. It's chill. And all I have to focus on is hanging out in my pajamas for as long as possible and replenishing myself. Tomorrow morning, I do have a very early morning. However, I'm going to get up super early and I'm going to fully enjoy my banana or two. Every time I come out of the fast, that's the first thing that I want to eat is a banana. And I like them like slightly green. And when they're slightly green, they have more resistant starch, which feeds our good gut bacteria, especially in our large colon. And then that just results in so much better health. But then I always want oatmeal. I always kind of want like this sweet oatmeal. So I want a brown sugar oatmeal with a hit of salt just to draw out all those beautiful flavors. And I want to starch it up, baby. I want to starch it up. Some fasts, I wake up on Saturday morning and I don't want to get out of the fast. So I too am with these fasters who say like, I want to stay feeling really good and just stay like this. So I also do a body scan almost every single day, especially during the fasts. And I won't show all my notes. However, this is basically my body scan where normally I'm just kind of like marking off where I might be like a little itchy behind my ear because of my eczema. I might have something going on. I don't typically have a lot going on, but maybe just something. But today it's just been, I've got those rays coming out of my system because this is how I feel. This is the fasting state. And this is why I love it because you feel very different. My mindset is very different. I feel a lot more optimistic. We've had a really rough first quarter this year in our family, and we've lost somebody very important to us. And so I have felt for the first time a lot of like apathy, which is very unlike me to feel because I'm like just not an apathetic person. But I have been in that phase for weeks now. And so it's nice to snap out of that and feel this level of optimism. I think that getting closer to my natural state, it's also allowed me to kind of enter into the grieving phase a little bit more, as opposed to just feeling disbelief. I've been in disbelief. Yeah, it's hard. It's obviously very hard losing people, but being in disbelief, I think, is just like the first stage. It could just be enough time has gone by. It's been like a couple of weeks or a few weeks. So maybe that's why I can move from disbelief into grieving. But I really think that getting closer to your natural state, you are able to feel all the feels, all the good feels too, though. So along with the grief comes all this like optimism, this, the word power is in my head. The word like limitless is in my being. And that's why I love the fasting state. It just rocks. Like it just feels so good. So interestingly, also in this book, there's a section in here where he speaks to anxiety and depression. So he does speak to all of the neurological benefits of being in a fasting state too. So yeah, all the things. Just so much to unpack when it comes to fasting. But I'm not like a fasting girl, even though I talk about it a lot. I am much more about forming good habits. And sometimes that word habits, every time I see an email subject line like 6 ways to like stick to your habits, I kind of cringe because it's like, oh gosh, what are you going to tell me to do now? But I think the real key is just to make sure that we are having fun, that the word playful is always in our day to day. And in order for these habits to stick, they have to be fun. They have to be playful because we humans, we like to have fun. And if we want to do something, obviously the chances of us actually doing it are much greater. And so I think when it comes to food, we have to find food that is fun. Fun food. And I know I've been doing a lot of talking and not a lot of cooking, but I'm going to get into less talking, more cooking, because we got a lot of recipes to dive into and a lot of food to eat and nourish ourselves with. So the last point I will make is coming out of the fasting state, we've got all these stem cells that we've now generated innately, our own stem cells, not some sort of stem cell transplant, which A, is amazing, but B, the body doesn't often like foreign things. So I don't know how effective those therapies are, like most of the time. But when we're generating our own stem cells, I mean, the body is going to heal. And just like how it autolyzes or the autophagy process, just like it self-cleans and cleans out the most damaged parts of its cells, when we are refeeding and our stem cells get called to the most high priority areas throughout our body, I do believe that it goes to the most high priority areas. Again, I'm not directing my own stem cells to go anywhere. They're just going to do what they do naturally. So I think that is very beautiful. I think it's super hopeful for anybody who's got some issues, or maybe you just like to play the preventative game like me and just do this. I encourage you to try this out. I definitely encourage everybody to try Prolon. I think the whole kit is like amazing, and obviously it's going to be more effective than any DIY version, but some people think it's gross. And it's really nice to just eat like real food. And now like just real food. Look at all those colors. It's wonderful. One of our fasters made this amazing point about the DIY version is, of course, a lot more time consuming. You got to buy your food. You've got to clean your food. You got to prep your food. You've got to weigh your food. And therefore you're spending a lot of time with your food. But she actually said that in a good way. She said that she's done Prolon many times. She's just wrapped up her first DIY version with like fresh food. But she said with the Prolon package, very convenient, yes. However, you just zip open like a packet, you cook the soup on the stovetop, and then you eat it, and then you're done. And so the whole time that you're kind of like around food, if you've got the time and the energy to spare, was much more pleasurable for her in this round. So I had never heard anybody say that. I think it's a really good point. And she's absolutely right. You do spend a lot more time with your food. Yeah. So anyway, with that, again, whether you're fasting or not, your body is amazing. So we're always detoxing, right? We detox through our sweat, our breath, through our pee, through our poo. The body's always doing what it should do, and it's always healing. It's always moving towards the most ideal state. And I don't want to say like the cleaner we eat, because I don't really love that term. It's just pick your favorite plants, eat more of them, eat less of the damaging stuff, and we can absolutely come into this state of feeling optimistic and powerful and limitless and get more in touch with what's going on the inside. And I know this is the case because I have felt that way. I felt that way when I went to a McDougall event and I ate as much as I could. I ate a ton of food, but they prepped all the food. So they had a bunch of whole plants. They had oatmeal, they had fresh fruit, they had veggie burgers with all the condiments, they had mashed potatoes, roasted potatoes, different salads. I mean, it was just a food party and it was absolutely beautiful. And I felt amazing. I probably dropped 3 pounds in like 3 days, but it was incredible how I felt. I really remember just feeling like just so good. So it is possible to get to that state or maintain this feeling as long as we're refeeding well. All right. All right. That's my spiel. Happy Friday. I hope you have an excellent weekend and yeah, be well. Mwah.